There are three issues confronting local churches and society today. One is sodomy. It's an ever increasing confrontation between those that accept it and those who do not. Abortion on demand, and political Islam. The beheading of the British soldier on a London street should raise some alarms and a red flag to many of us. Islam is not only a religion, but a political force. Please listen to this lecture, the Introduction to Political Islam. The remaining 12 lectures may be found at the website shown on the screen.
By the Center for the Study of Political Islam. Each talk is an introduction to a lesson found in the book 13 Lessons on Islam. However, these talks stand alone and can be listened to individually. This course is based upon the books that are the foundation of Islam: the Quran, the Sirah, or the biography of Muhammad, and the Hadith, or traditions of Muhammad.
Welcome to the first self-study course on Islam. We need to ask the question, why is this the first self-study course on Islam? Now, there are many books written on Islam, but none of them are arranged as a course. That is, a course in which it is presumed that you don't know anything about Islam, and then you are led step by step to reach full knowledge of Islam. That's the reason this course is in 3 levels. Up until now, studying Islam has always been by scholars, university scholars and Islamic scholars. And in the past, they've always told us that Islam is very complicated and difficult to understand. A university professor wants to be viewed as learned and intelligent. He does not have an interest in making things really simple. He wants you to think that he is the master of a very difficult and obscure topic. After September 11th, 2001, the attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, Islam received the attention of new scholarship that was not based on Arabic, religion, but instead a new scholarship that used modern analytic techniques, the same sort of techniques that were used on the moon shot with NASA, the same techniques that have been used in cryptology, that is, cracking codes, because the non-religious technical scholars that took a look at Islam realized that this material has been encoded. It has been made difficult. When you apply modern system analysis, it reveals that it is actually quite simple, and it has simply been made obscure. These new principles have revealed that Islam is a religion and a political system. The new part was to discover that the political system actually occupies the greatest part of Islamic doctrine. Let's take the Quran, for instance. Detailed statistical analysis shows that over 60% of the Quran is political in nature. Less than 40% of the Quran is actually devoted to the religion of Islam. This is a major insight, because when you study Muhammad's life, you also learn that the bulk of it was political, not religious. New analysis, new modern techniques have peeled away the veil of confusion that has always laid over Islam. It has shown that Islam is actually quite simple and straightforward once you separate and sort things out. Once you remove the veil of confusion that has been placed over Islam, things are really simple and quite straightforward. Anyone who can read a newspaper and understand it can now read and understand about Islam. As we first mentioned, your first step is not even going to be to read, but just to sit back and listen. You're going to learn the why of Islam. If you look closely at what is said about Islam on the TV and in the newspapers and the magazines, notice that they never really explain why Islam does anything except as in a reaction to what we do. But this is totally wrong. Islam has a highly detailed political view. Islam has its own agenda. Islam doesn't look to us always to decide what to do. It does some of that, but the majority of Islam is determined by its doctrine, its political doctrine. They don't need us to execute their game plan. And Islam indeed has a political game plan. Its purpose is to annihilate all civilizations that are not Islamic. And you say, well, that sounds a little harsh. Once you understand the history of Islam, you will see something. Islam annihilates native cultures. Let's take some examples from a history which you have never been taught about. North Africa and Egypt used to be Christian. North Africa was a European civilization. That's right. Remember, the Roman Empire extended to the northern part of Africa. Greek culture was dominant for some 700 years before Islam destroyed the culture of North Africa and made it Islamic and Arabic. Egypt used to be a Christian country. How did it become Muslim? And Turkey used to be Greek and Christian. How did it become Islamic? Iraq was a Christian nation, Syria, all the Middle East. How did this come about? It came about because Islam invaded. Centuries and centuries later, there is not even the slightest trace of Christianity left in North Africa, for instance. Islam has a political agenda, not just a religious agenda, but a political agenda. You will learn that Islam is the most powerful political force on the face of the earth. You are going to be taken into a new world in which new things are explained to you, and you will begin to understand, oh, that's why they're doing that. Even better, you will be able to foresee the future of Islam because it operates from a playbook. We were told in the media after September 11th that Islam had been hijacked, that the act of 9/11 was not Islamic. You're going to learn about the political theory of jihad, and once you understand that political theory, which is all based upon Muhammad, you will understand that September 11th was by the book. It was exactly like Muhammad would have done it. You're going to learn that Islam is not a religion. Islam is a complete civilization. It has an ethical system, a doctrine of law, a political view, and it has a highly detailed theory of jihad. All of this is based upon Muhammad. Muhammad is one of the most fascinating men who ever lived. You're going to learn his history. You're going to learn and be stunned that Muhammad was not a success as the prophet of Allah. The religion of Islam failed. Muhammad taught the religion of Islam for 13 years and only got 150 people to believe him. Then he turned to politics and war, jihad he called it, and in 10 years' time he became the first ruler of all of Arabia. When Muhammad died, he did not have a single enemy left in Arabia. Muhammad did not succeed as a religious man. He succeeded as a warrior and a politician. And since Muhammad is the perfect Muslim, everything in Islam is based upon Muhammad. Actually, far more of Islam is based upon Muhammad than Allah and the Quran. That's another thing you're going to learn, is that the Quran is only about 20% of the doctrine of Islam. The bulk of the doctrine of Islam is established by Muhammad, not his God, Allah. You are going to see Muhammad as a political figure, as a man who changed the rule of the world. He became enormously successful with politics, and that's where the success of Islam lies, in its politics. The religion of Islam, you will discover, is not of any concern to anybody except those who want to go to Islamic heaven and avoid Islamic hell. Muhammad's life has 75% of it devoted to his life as a jihadist and a politician. This reflects Muhammad's success. You're also in this course going to learn about women, because Islam has a separate doctrine about women. You're going to learn about slavery. Your eyes are going to open wide when you understand the key role of Islam in slavery. You've only been taught a 200-year history of slavery that involved the white man. Islam turns out to be the key player in world slavery. Islam has enslaved the European, the African, and the Asian, and has done so for 1,400 years. As a matter of fact, it was a Muslim wholesaler in every case who sold the shipload of slaves to the white man. You're going to study ethics, which may sound like a boring topic, but when you study Islamic ethics, you'll be stunned. Islamic ethics are dualistic. That is, they have one set of ethics for themselves and another set of ethics for us. You're going to learn 4 new words. Those new words are kafir, that is an unbeliever, and a dhimmi, one who is not a Muslim, but who is forced to live under an Islamic political system, or a dhimmi is also one who is a non-Muslim who apologizes for Islam. You're going to have an entire lesson on the dhimmi, and you will discover that the dhimmi is the reason that we have chosen to ignore the deaths of 270 million people. That's right. You're going to study a hidden secret history, the tears of jihad. You're going to learn about the deaths of 60 million Christians, 80 million Hindus, 10 million Buddhists, and 120 million Africans. And you're going to discover that the dhimmi, that new word you're going to learn, is the key to the shame of this and why we don't study it, why our children are never taught about all these monstrous deaths. And you're then going to have a small philosophy lesson on 2 words, submission and duality. Now, I know a philosophy lesson doesn't seem like it's going to be exciting, but this will be a philosophy lesson you will never forget, because you will understand that once you understand submission and duality, everything about Islam becomes crystal clear. Everything will snap into focus, and you will see that Islam is like a coin and it has 2 sides. When you get confused is when you argue that one side is the real one. You will learn that duality teaches that both sides of Islam are the real Islam. You're even going to get an understanding about the Quran, that famous book that no one has ever understood. You're going to learn how the Quran has been made deliberately obscure. And once you see how the Quran has been decoded, you will understand that, oh, this is actually a simple document. Muhammad is the key to Islam, and Muhammad is the key to the Quran. Once you weave Muhammad's life back into the Quran, all of a sudden, it's very easy to understand. The Quran becomes an epic story, and everybody can understand a story. Settle back and listen. You are taking the first step of an exciting self-study course. This course is not going to be just facts. You're going to be told stories that you will never forget. You're going to hear things that you will not have to write down and think about to understand. You're going to learn things that you will always remember without any effort. Islam is one of the most fascinating subjects you can undertake, particularly political Islam.
Brought to you by the Center for the Study of Political Islam.